SummerSlam 2022 is raving with positive reviews. I'm going to tell you guys what I think in a little bit, but we got a couple news stories surrounding this pay-per-view. As you see here, Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai together as a new faction. We got some backstage details on it. First and foremost, Io Shirai's name was changed to Io Sky. And honestly, I actually like this change. I thought during the match, commentary kept messing up. I thought Corey Graves was messing up. But this is because WWE was actually trying to acknowledge both her NXT past as women's champion and now her future on the main roster as Io Sky. Typically, when name changes happen, I'm always one of those people that's like, I don't like it, but I'm willing to give it a shot. I actually like the name Io Sky. I think it's going to be very marketable the way that they have it spelled, IyoSky. And honestly, this idea of pairing Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky together is just absolutely wonderful news. Now, some backstage news coming from Sean Ross Sapp at Fightful Select. It actually appears that the original version of this faction was pitched to include Raquel Gonzalez and Kaylee Ray, and then basically Vince McMahon nixed the idea. Raquel Rodriguez, because she went from Gonzalez to Rodriguez on the main roster, she was moved to SmackDown. Kaylee Ray was staying on NXT and was renamed Alba Fire. Now, honestly, I think both variations of this group could work. Kaylee Ray, Alba Fire, or Raquel, I think it could have worked very well being behind Bayley. But the idea that Io Sky got moved to the main roster, who, by the way, was very close to leaving WWE, she got moved to the main roster and immediately felt like a big deal because of her association based on how they've done this creatively. It was always said that Triple H, immediately becoming head of creative and talent relations, one of his big priorities was bringing back Dakota Kai. What was really cool about this moment, too, was commentary really did a good job of also letting fans know that they didn't even know she was under WWE contract. Now, keep in mind, for those who are unaware, there was a conversation reportedly between AEW and Dakota Kai, but it never got past the introduction phase. And if you guys wonder why I criticize AEW, it's because I feel like AEW is very picky and choosy on how they sign talents, which is completely fine. However, I'm not seeing an actual change with their product for the better based on the people they're signing. It's not like they're developing anything. When Io Shirai was in NXT, there was big things that they had done with her to make her feel like a big presence. When Dakota Kai was in NXT, you know that the opportunity was there, but it just couldn't fully happen. So now these women are being given a really big opportunity to make a big statement, and they did it by going to the main roster alongside Bayley. WWE has massive plans for this faction. I love that Triple H actually did this. What a beautiful match between Becky Lynch and Belair. I thought I was just kind of getting annoyed by them constantly wrestling, constantly having a feud. Becky Lynch wanted to turn heel. Vince McMahon would not allow it. According to Wade Keller, it appears that Becky Lynch was supposed to remain a heel. Triple H flipped that entirely due to creative changes, and this is cool. Now, who's going to be the babyface that comes and helps out Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair? I mean, look, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but Sasha Banks, where is she? What is she doing? Maybe make that call, fix those relationships, and it's going to be a good thing to see. Karrion Kross could very well be back back on his way to WWE. There is a lot of talk about Karrion Kross and where he fits with WWE now that Triple H has taken charge. Obviously, we saw Dakota Kai come back. We saw Io Sky being retained. Now Karrion Kross is posting on his Instagram story, of course, posting pictures of his WWE entrance song. And look, guys, fans want to see him there. There's rumors that Triple H is also interested in bringing him back. Again, I'm just going to say this. Whether you like Karrion Kross or not, WWE needs change, and the way to do that is by putting talented individuals on TV. There is no reason whatsoever to have Karrion Kross go to the main roster without Scarlett Bordeaux. There was no reason for it. There was no reason to put him in a mask. There was no reason to change up his attire and to change his entrance themes and change what made him special. But Vince McMahon did. It was an issue that Vince McMahon had. And look, I understand from a business perspective, it probably made sense. But sometimes you don't have to be so extra. And that's always been my complaint about Vince McMahon. It's always like you just have to change everything. You have to do it your way. You cannot accept the fact that maybe there's other ideas that are better than yours. Guys, I think Karrion Kross would be a really big welcome to WWE. I feel like WWE needs to do something very quickly with Karrion Kross if they put him in there. I'm not saying he's got to be a world champion or anything, but we got Bobby Lashley holding the U.S. Championship belt. I think Karrion Kross coming out, attacking Bobby Lashley, you can set up a really good feud. And again, we gotta value those mid-card championship belts, and that's something that Triple H did extremely well in NXT. It's something I do want to see carry over to the main roster. In recent months, it has gotten a little bit better, but just by saying that, I don't feel like it's really doing much. It's not really saying much, at least, because the U.S. title and the IC title were really just, they weren't even being looked at for a while. So, in my opinion, Karrion Kross coming to WWE makes a lot of sense. I expect this to happen relatively soon. And then, of course, we talked about Johnny Gargano. Hopefully that happens at some point as well. Now, for my official review of WWE SummerSlam 2022, if you guys care what I think, then these next few minutes, it's just going to be strictly praise. And honestly, it's one of the things I mentioned on my live stream prior to the show a few days ago. I said, look, I really just want to see surprises. I just really want to see that they're making an effort, because it's very difficult to change creative plans in the middle of a week, right? WWE did enough to keep me excited going forward. And that was something that I feel like we needed to see, because WWE SmackDown was not strong. I did not feel like WWE SmackDown was strong. I do not feel like WWE SmackDown elevated my interest in WWE SummerSlam. But from top to bottom, I really feel like everything made sense logically. I was really impressed that WWE made the conscious decision to have Liv Morgan tap out while being pinned 1, 2, 3. Maybe the match wasn't great, but the finish was good. And that was one of my biggest complaints about Vince McMahon, is how he would do finishes. You know, it's just like, it felt like SummerSlam 2022 was a step in the right direction. And again, nothing's going to happen overnight. Change doesn't happen overnight. But you can tell that Triple H's influence is starting to get people rallied up. People on social media are starting to get excited. And, how many times have we seen Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar? And now look at what they did. They managed to put on this massive main event where Brock Lesnar losing, it just like, you almost believe that Brock Lesnar could win. And that was just a phenomenal match. And the tractor lifting up the ring, as you guys can see here, just a remarkable image. But there's one thing I want to say, because it wasn't perfect. And this is one thing I want to say, and I'll leave you guys with this. We have to give WWE a chance. And we have to give AEW a chance, and we should be vocal when it's good. We should be vocal when it's not. Everybody's going to have different opinions, right? But the one thing I will not accept, Logan Paul absolutely killed it in a singles match against The Miz. That was wonderful booking. Ciampa getting tossed out. AJ Styles coming in. Logan Paul hitting a phenomenal forearm. Logan Paul hitting a frog splash onto the commentary table. Logan Paul hitting the skull-crushing finale to win. I just don't think it gets better than that. Honestly, Logan Paul was a really, really good wrestler last night, and he is so good that the fans actually cheered for him. Keep in mind, weeks ago, WWE was trying to hide the fact that fans were booing him. Triple H had to start the show with a brawl because they didn't want to show Logan Paul getting booed. He walked out of SummerSlam being cheered. And I think this show really delivered. Not everything was perfect. There was a couple matches I didn't care for, but ultimately, that's going to happen, But I feel like this was a step in the right direction. I really look forward to seeing what happens at Clash at the Castle. Let me know what you guys think down below.